Hi, my name is Corinne McKinley, and this is my speech about how uniforms should be implemented in schools. I think uniforms should be used in schools. Uniforms have been proven to improve students' behavior, and prejudice against students' socioeconomic status is decreased. Children and teens are less likely to bully others when they are all wearing the same uniform. An article on Britannica says that when all students are dressed alike, competition between students over clothing choices and the teasing of the others who are dressed in less expensive or less fashionable outfits can be eliminated. Bullying decreases and students can focus more on school. It's interesting to see the amount of effect that clothing has in students' lives. Facts from schools that mandate uniforms. In the sources I found, several schools say that the majority of students, when asked, said that they didn't really like to wear uniforms. I think students like to have a sense of self and independence that a lot of people get from the clothes that they wear. For me, I especially love fashion, and expression of self through clothing is something that's really important to me. But I also think a school uniform would be very beneficial, and you don't necessarily have to lose your sense of self. I think more schools should implement uniforms. Schools that have uniforms have said there is a big difference that clothing makes in behavior. It's like night and day, Saunders says. We have dress down days, and the kids' behavior is just completely different on those days. Some sources have stated that they didn't notice any changes in behavior, but many saw the difference that is very clear, and uniforms serve as a very beneficial tool against bullying. Why I think uniforms should be implemented. I think uniforms are a great idea. I was first told to think about a change like this in middle school, and my immediate thought was that it was a terrible idea and I would never want to wear a uniform. But after thinking about it, I realized uniforms could have a great change, and they could really affect students in the way that they learn and behave. If everyone has to wear the same type of clothes, you can't really tell who doesn't have enough money to afford the fancy clothes that other students might. There also aren't any revealing clothes or bad messages on clothing that could be a distraction. I know I see kids in my school that sometimes wear things that they feel comfortable in, but for me could be really distracting in a school setting. I think it would also help with self-esteem in schools when what you wear or look like should be less important. I think there would be a lot less hatred, or at least I would hope so. Some downsides of a uniform. Some people have brought up that students don't really get to choose the uniform, and they wouldn't want to wear something if it was really ugly. That could be a downside, but in my opinion, I don't think I'd care as much. I think schools should be about learning and furthering your education, and that appearances really shouldn't matter as much. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people do care about that, and there can be a lot of bullying about that, but that's just my opinion. That's something that we can work on. Hopefully, in the future, will be better. Another downside is that in some schools, uniforms don't change behavior that much. Sometimes kids can just be really mean, and there's nothing that we can do about it. One other downside is lack of diversity. It can be a really great thing to have different students with different fashion senses and personalities that will show through with what they wear. Finally, I believe that uniforms could make schools safer and students less hateful towards each other, and help students get along better. It could have a really positive effect on students' self-esteem, behavior, and learning. Thank you. And here are my sources. Thank you.